just been marking out on our ledger board where it's going to fix to the wall and everywhere that our rafters are going to fall, because we're just about to drill our first hole into our beautiful stone wall on the front of the building. So the last thing I want to do is balls it up. So we're just triple checking. So are we going to try and have it fall short? Are we going to try and have it hit the top? Or are we going to try and go?
All good questions. Look at this ridiculous contraption we've got going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, our air compressor has just stopped working and we haven't figured out why. So for now, to get all the dust out of the hole we've just dug, it's going to have to be the Hoover with a little spout on the end. I'm sure it'll work.
Before you're going up the ladder, I want my glasses back, blue steel.
Oh, sorry. I forgot I had these on. Oh, they're covered in dust. Sorry, Dal.
Thanks for that. I take it back. It's surprisingly effective.
So while the chem fix is curing, I am just putting all of our holes into the ledger board. This time round, we're using a stepped metal drill bit. And I wouldn't go as far to say as it's like a knife through butter, but it is so much quicker than just using a standard single size HSS bit. You know, previously I was drilling a pilot and then drilling a bigger hole, but this has saved me loads of time. So I'm a very happy boy. I'm only really needed on an ad hoc basis for this bit of the veranda build. So I've taken the opportunity to get a little bit more of the pointing done in here because there's still a lot to do. I'm close enough though that if Ricky hollers, I can obviously dash out. Even after all the pointing we've done and seeing how it turns out once it's all brushed down, it still feels really counterintuitive every time, just plastering it and getting it all over the faces of the stones. But having said that, once it is all brushed down, I think both of us actually are so pleased with how it looks and obviously so happy with how much quicker it is opposed to the way that we did it outside. Love the way it looks outside, but it really was a lot more labour intensive. The stonework on the inside of the house isn't as nice as it is on the outside, sadly. Some of it is a bit ugly, to be honest. So the fact that this pointing style can just cover a whole host of sins is another big reason that I really like it. We figured that if we could get one of the ends on as like a fixed point, then we'd have some way of pivoting that, and then we'd just have to worry about getting the other side up and then getting all of that level to then mark off the other holes. We haven't quite figured out yet how to get the other side up. I think we're just gonna attempt to carry it up on the ladder and prop it, see if it works out. I'm gonna need your help though, milady.
Okay.
This is definitely a two-person job. Oh, you're speedy. Yeah, it's some of my best and messiest work to date. You were way quicker as well. I'm taking it that the comb bit did its bit duty.
Literally the best 15 euros I think we've ever spent.
Thank goodness for that.
So straighten it up. The joys of working with lumpy, bumpy stone is that nothing is flat. So we're thinking we're going to have to hack back and grind down a few of these stones just to get this as flat to the wall as possible. Nearly on. If we just go up ever so slightly. Okay, to there.
There.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, that's good. Any of you that have drilled through stone before, where you've got mortar in, really irregular shapes, it's very hard to actually pinpoint and get your hole to go dead straight where you want it to, because it naturally wants to push away from the edge of the stone or into mortar. I'm guessing just to take the path of least resistance. But by having the ledger board already up and the holes there and having them guide it through and keep it straight, the holes seem to be going perfectly in the right place. So fingers crossed, by the time I get all these cut and we get the threaded rod in, everything will be where it needs to be. What was that, Cinderella?
I said it's especially good because we didn't have a backup plan.
No, it was plan A or nothing. I'm rapidly running out of light. I was really hoping to get round today to welding on some brackets, but that's not going to happen. So I'm going to get up early and do that in the morning. Right now, I need to get the rest of this threaded rod chem fixed into the wall so we can fix the ledger board in the morning.
This video is sponsored by Reolink. They make home security cameras that are incredibly user-friendly, easy to set up and get going, and most importantly to us, they're super reliable, so they're not going to let you down when you need them the most. And having them here just gives us so much peace of mind, which is priceless. We've got several of their cameras dotted around the land, and although we do live somewhere that is really safe, we can't have eyes everywhere all of the time. Sometimes, to be honest, I just use it to spy on Ricky and see what he's up to. They sent us a new camera to try out called the Track Mix, and it comes with its own little solar panel, so we can put it wherever we want and we don't need to worry about bringing power to it.
So one thing that I think is really smart about this is that it's a dual lens camera, so it effectively films the same scene but in two different ways. So it takes one shot which is a wider, more fuller view of everything, and then at the same time it has a second shot which is more zoomed in, so you get to see the same event but up close and in more detail. And then in the app it displays these two images on a split screen, so you get to see both of them simultaneously, which is really good for kind of keeping context of everything that's happening. You get 360-degree coverage, plus it can automatically track a moving target by panning, tilting and zooming in to make sure that you can see everything as the event unfolds. You control all of the tracking settings from within the Reolink app. So if you just want to track people and ignore cars and animals, it's really easy to do so with just a touch of a button.
The image quality is 4K, so it's always really sharp, and that's the same whether it's filming during the day or at night. Also, if it catches somebody that shouldn't be there at night time, it's going to blast them with a spotlight, which is a pretty effective way of letting them know that they're very visible and they're being watched. And if you want to go the extra mile and really freak them out, it's got a two-way mic, so you can listen to what they're doing, but you can also speak to them through the app. I'm watching her. One thing that we found really useful is that there are trigger alerts that get sent through via the app. So if your camera is set off by an animal, a car, a person, you're going to know about it. So for us, if we're not here, then that is especially valuable. Storage wise, it's really flexible. You can use a micro SD or Reolink NVR, just choose whatever you prefer. But either way, there are no subscription fees.
Click the link in the description to learn more about Reolink's dual lens track mix and the different options available, and find out how it can help protect you and your home. So I got up and at it early today in the hope that I'd be able to beat the sun and the heat and get some work done before it really cooked up. But it's come round so quickly, I failed miserably. And yeah, I've basically been in the sun the whole time. I feel like I've just gone and had a dip in a lake in just my little boxer shorts, and I've put my clothes back on. I'm absolutely drenched. And this angel's just bought me an icy fruity drink.
It's going to knock your socks off. It's really sharp.
Loving the colour.
You see, it even made them react.
Yeah, blimey, that's got something to it. It's sharp, nicer. You quite done?
He's so proud.
Yeah, what's in the drink?
Well, I realised I put twice as many lemons in as I meant to do. So each of these has got 2 lemons and a handful of frozen raspberries, and then ice and water.
Well, me like it.
And sugar. I did put some sugar in.
Quick question for the welders out there. Why, when I see other people weld, do their welds look the same colour as this, more of a silver, and even after brushing, mine is still like a very dark grey, almost black. I've already ground off all of the galvanised coating, so I know it's not that. The only thing I can think is it's something to do with the wire that I'm using, but yeah. If any of you know, let me know. Oh, where to begin? So we're basically the next day from when I was welding the ledger board. And yesterday afternoon, unfortunately, was a bit of a disaster. After I'd finished welding all of the brackets onto the ledger board, I took it down to the tiny house with the view of trying to get it up and onto the wall. But as soon as we got it down there, we both realised we made a bit of an error, because in our mind we were just going to be able to get this ledger board up and on in the same way we did it the day before, by taking it up one side and then taking it up the other side. However, as soon as we got down there and we realised we've now got all the threaded rod sticking out and we had to lift it up in front to slide it on, that's very difficult because that beam is super heavy. So we were both instantly in a bit of a bad mood and a bit regretful, because we were just realising we should have just kept it up there the day before and found a way to fix it while it was in place and not take the board back off again. But, you know, the mistake had been made, so we had no choice but to keep persevering and try and find ways to get it back on. So as soon as we started walking it back up again and trying to see if we could get it onto the rods in the wall, we noticed, as we were both looking down the line of it, that it was bowed, which is very bizarre for like a thick steel, because it's really strong.
So after a bit of research, we figured out that it was the welding process that's caused the issue. Obviously, welding's a hot process, so as you're going down the metal, that area of the metal's getting really hot and expanding. And obviously you did 12 brackets in the end.
24 brackets.
24 brackets. So that's a hell of a lot of hot spots, let's call them, where it's buckled unevenly.
So this is where we left things yesterday afternoon. So in case you can't gauge what's going on here, this is our long metal ledger board with a ton of weight on the middle. We left it out in the sun all yesterday afternoon with a view to trying to get some heat on it and weigh it down with the load, but I don't know if it would have been hot enough. It has definitely straightened out a lot with the weight on it. Whether that holds when we take the weight off is a different thing. I can look down the inside of this tube and I can still see it's not completely straight, but maybe it will be enough to get it up and get it on, because the last thing I really want to be doing is writing this beam off. We haven't got another one, so it would mean having to order more, having to do all of this process again with getting the holes in and getting it in the right place, and that really is last resort. There's a couple of other things we can do before that, but the first thing we're going to try, get this weight off, see if it stays, see if we can get it up.
Oh, so bendy.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it's not worked at all. As soon as we've lifted the weights off, it's just sprung back to where it started. But we're not giving up on it yet.
So what we're doing here is effectively trying to bend it back the other way by welding the underside of where we welded before to attempt to counteract and correct the bend that the welding on the brackets made. So I'm kind of just very roughly welding a similar pattern to what we did with the brackets in the hope that it'll be roughly the same amount of heat applied to try and get the same amount of bend back. This is a long shot. You know, the reality is that we're clutching at straws here. So this is a method of attempting to do this. We've obviously got very little control over how much bend goes back. All I can try and do is replicate what we did originally and hope for the best. But hoping for the best is all we've got right now, because the thought of writing all this off and starting again, yeah, I don't really want to let my brain go there at the moment. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's really difficult. It does look a bit better.
Yeah.
See, I've not got a full view with the extra piece of metal on top, but
It's definitely improved. So the bending reaction that we want actually happens when it's contracting. So basically when the metal's cooling. We've got it here in the blazing Portuguese sunshine. We haven't really got anywhere safely in the shade we can put it. So I think we're going to get some shade over it, have some food, come back out and see what's happened, do a little lunchtime prayer and hope that it straightens out.
this is absolutely boiling. Do you want fried eggs for lunch?
Never going to come long enough.
No, we're going to have to pitch something just over this last bit, I think.
1 hour later.
It's really earning its keep, this tractor, isn't it?
Yeah, versatile.
They didn't show this in the manual. So initial thoughts is that it does look way straighter. Whether or not it's straight enough.
Yeah, I think it's bent there. I think I can see here it
kinks.
I mean, I could very clearly see it was bent last time. It still is bent, but way less.
Okay.
Let's put one of these on top and we'll test it.
That there's a high spot here, but that's got a weld on it.
Really frustrating this, because the only reason we're welding was to save us time, because drilling and bolting through the metal was taking so long, and it's ended up costing us a lot more time than that would have done. It's annoying, but we're here, that's where we're at, so we've got to roll with the punches. One good bit of news is that the welding on the opposite side seems to be doing the trick. The gap, the bend even, when we put the other piece of metal on, is reduced to about 1/3 of what it was. So there's still a little way to go, but it's reassuring that this method is bending it back. Hopefully this is still salvageable. I've just been grinding down the welds because at the moment that other beam is sitting on top of the weld, so although we're getting a rough idea of the gap between them, it's not truly accurate. So take those welds off and then the two can sit flush together. But we're not going to do any more welding today because the ambient temperature is very hot. So even in the shade, that piece of metal is still warm. So I think what we're going to do is just leave it overnight, let the temperature really settle down, look at it in the morning, and if there's still more bending to do, then we can come back to do more welds then. But hopefully it's not going to come to that, and we'll wake up tomorrow morning and a miracle will have occurred and it's straight again.
Seeing as our plans with the veranda build has gone a bit pear-shaped today, I'm going to carry on this afternoon with some more land maintenance.
A lot of our oak trees have got branches that are currently hanging way too low, so they all need to be trimmed up to be fire safe.
It's also going to mean that we can navigate around on the tractor a lot easier than before, because we were getting a little bit cracked on the head if we didn't keep our eyes peeled for low-hanging branches. Just a brief distraction from the task at hand. I've just spotted a little purple flower that I've never seen growing here before, so I want to use my app and see if it will tell me what it is. So the results are in, and it's called a spreading bellflower, also a rambling bellflower. So now I know.
As much as I really dislike this time of year, just because of how overwhelmed we always are by how much work there is to do to clear the land before the end of the month. Visor not cooperating. Yeah, after the last couple of days where just nothing seems to have gone right, doing a job like this where kind of really nothing can go wrong unless your machine, the strimmer, doesn't work. It's just a bit mindless, and you can just make a ton of progress in a fairly short amount of time. So yeah, I was in a pretty foul mood earlier on, if you hadn't guessed, but getting some of this cleared has perked me up. So I'm going to do a bit more and try and clear around the tiny house, get that looking beautiful again. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Poppy. Happy birthday to you. Woohoo, Poppy! What's she got?
Well, they've both got little pup cups with their biscuits rather than a flake.
Woohoo, buddy!
Yeah! Oh. Ready? Oh, it's confusing. Oh. So it's Poppy's 4th birthday, and I know it's ridiculous to sing to a dog and give them ice cream, but that's what I am.
Of course it's not. It gets them excited. Look how happy they are. It's nice ice cream.
It is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this has probably this week been potentially the biggest mistake we've made on the project so far.
Yeah.
I know when we look back on it, it will be fine because we'll have resolved it and lessons have been learned. And that's, you know, it's easy when you've got perspective and being able to look back on it, but times like this where you've just put in a ton of work and it's potentially gone to waste, it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But yeah, I'm sure over the next few weeks we'll have a ledger board and rafters and the structure up, so we will make that happen.
Veranda-wise, everything's gone a little bit pear-shaped, but tomorrow's another day. Just got to keep fingers crossed that everything can just perk up.